Okay, we're rolling. Bam, we're live. No, not live. All right,
But
Ange.
we are, though.
Huh? No,
We are live.
not live.
Well,
but
not live.
Recording.
We're recording.
What is going on with this?
And hey, it's pretty good. Hi, guys. It's Angie and Pat, and with Local Vibes, and we're here today with actually one of our clients on our marketing dashboard, Justine The Lead Machine, and it's Kip Payne from Innovative Seamless Gutters. And how long have you been? How long have you been on Justine now?
If I judging by my spreadsheet, I want to say about April-ish, I think is when we met.
I should have known this. I mean, that's pretty pathetic.
I think it was cold out when we met because I remember meeting you at the coffee shop and it was not warm outside. So it was it's still pretty cold.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's Ohio, so it could have also been.
And I feel like
May.
I know you because you and Heath that we just did you guys work together. You refer each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like getting tagged and I'm liking all your stuff. You guys are liking all my stuff, but I literally just met you 5 minutes ago. You know?
Right.
It's most of our clients I've met, but it's just been a while.
Well,
So
and then we just
nice
found
to
out
meet.
today, I mean, Nick Simmons is what is he?
He's one of our battalion chiefs at
Battalion
Newark.
Chiefs. So, I mean, we know Nick. I know Nick through CrossFit. So that's crazy. And that was back from CrossFit Newark. And that was around.
Does it go back that far?
Yeah, he was at CrossFit Newark first with his daughter because I think Emmy may have done something, that program with Chris Campbell. So pretty cool. It's a small world.
I was gonna say it's definitely interesting when you start talking to people like, oh, you know so and so, then you're like, how did we know 15 different people and we didn't? It took this long just to meet each other.
That is the cool part about social media. I will say, I think that's the fun part is you start to see how people are connected, and I think it's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I was gonna say I heard about you guys through Kyle Weekly because I was just asking him about how he got his website.
Oh, it was originally through Kyle?
Yep, he's who told me about you guys because he said that you guys helped him with his business, and I was like, well, I need somebody that does that. I don't know how to do this stuff.
He actually, I know them from CrossFit Newark.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And then actually his wife is a nurse practitioner at the Zangmeister Cancer Center where I went. So I saw her all the time.
Okay.
And that's actually how I got all my soap. I used their soap.
Same.
And so I'd be like, okay, I'm coming today. So I need my soap from her. So Sarah would always supply me and come and see me. And yeah, you didn't.
I
didn't even realize that?
Nope.
Yep.
I don't realize a lot of things.
This must be a man thing because I'm the same way.
Well, they aren't. Yes, I've coached them. They're not on any of our systems. They had already done stuff on their own, but they ask me a lot of questions a lot of times, and I help them. And I mean, I think they're doing a great job.
Oh yeah.
With that soap company, it's like a little side gig that they love, and I love their products. It's my favorite. So
it's the only soap I use.
Me too. Me too. Except right at the moment because I'm waiting on my shipment should be here today.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to actually order some more of it every now and then. Like for Christmas, family will get me like Bath and Body Works. I'm like, I feel like a traitor.
I know one of our good friends. She's in marketing. She's pretty high up over there, and I always feel bad all the time. And I'm sure Stacy's listening to this. She'll probably listen to this and be like, "What?" But
okay, we're back.
All right, so I guess let's get into. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Okay.
Tell us what you do.
What do you do? How did it start?
Well, and tell us what you do because I know you have a couple jobs right now. So I think it'd be good for people to get to know you and what you're all about.
Absolutely. Well, I'm 32 years old. I've been in business since 2021. And the idea kind of started from my stepdad who, the backstory behind me, I guess, is when I was 13, my parents also were entrepreneurs. They had started buying real estate, so they had rental properties. And then my dad has always been very handy and able to basically fix anything, really. So they started a renovation and seamless gutter business. So at 13, I was expected to help. So I would mow the yards for the properties. I would help my dad with painting, roofing, drywall, gutters, you name it. Whatever they were doing at the time, it was expected that I, partook. So I'd been doing it since I was about 13, just all of it. And then in 2021, my dad had mentioned, it'd be nice to make some extra money and just start a gutter business. And I was like, well, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Like, I don't want to do roofing. Like, I'm not trying to carry shingles. And the reality is, like, if you're doing it yourself in a roofing company, you're really not going to make it anywhere, because there's so many roofing companies that are successful and they have crews that do it much more efficiently than a couple people. So I was like, that's not a bad idea. So I came up with a business plan, and a previous employer of mine, I approached her and was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Here's how much I need. Would you support me? Would you fund me? And she took a chance. She believed in me because I thought I knew what I was talking about. I thought I had a good presentation. I was like, yeah, we could definitely, get you paid back, real quick. And when we started business, I was like, I thought I knew what I was talking about, and I didn't know anything. But she took a chance on us. And so we started in 2021, and then That's
a tough time to start, too.
Yeah. We started in June. And then I had an individual refer a book to me that I see on your shelf, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That's
that right
one
there.
Of the first ones I ever read.
Yeah.
Back in the beginnings of the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's what mine was, is I read that, and I was just like, at that point, it was like the doors just opened, and I have actually looked already at some of the books on your shelf to see if I've read some of them, and I have.
That's good.
So it became an obsession at that point. And then I've been more like, this has kind of been my niche, my thing. Like, how can I grow this? How can I leave a legacy behind? So, with that being said, like the kind of the why of myself and my business, since it's an extension of me, is, I want to be able to turn adversity into advantage and, foster a legacy of generosity, ambition, and, a purpose-driven type of success. It's not necessarily about, how much money I can obtain. That's nice, sure. But, it's more about the impact that you make and what you, leave behind. So that's always been,
That's awesome.
That's been,
you're speaking our language, man. Impact.
Dang.
Well, it's just been important to me.
Yeah.
I, not to make it a therapy session, but per statistics, I shouldn't be talking to you guys. I come from a family of addicts. My mom is one of them. So theoretically, I shouldn't be successful by standards.
Yeah.
And, I'm the polar opposite. So, I've always wanted to kind of defy the odds. And that's kind of what drives me a lot, is when people's like, oh, you'll quit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they said that when I started working out, and now they're like, hey man, how do you get like biceps like that? Or how do I get my bench better? I'm like, well, the difference is you would say that I'll give up. And I said, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to be 3 times better than you ever thought I would be.
Yeah.
And it's so weird how, thankfully neither one of us have had to deal with any addiction or anything like that in any of our family. But the ones that make it have that mindset. It is, you're no different than anybody else. You consistently did something about it, and weren't, you probably say, I'm not going back there.
Yeah.
That it's just,
well, that's like me and my cancer. I was like, shit, this isn't going to get me. I'm not going to let it get me.
Right.
And I think you have to have that mindset.
Absolutely.
You're not the first person that we've talked to. Did you listen to Jason Tomlinson's?
Not yet.
You've got to listen to him. I'll have to send you.
Okay.
I'll have to send you his. He was on our podcast, but then there's another podcast that I got him on. Savan.
Okay.
It's
Savan from CrossFit. If you have any idea,
Uh-huh.
he's like one of the major CrossFit podcasters now. He's not with CrossFit, but that's all he talks about.
Okay.
He's one we used to listen to when CrossFit was big, because he was the media
Okay.
at CrossFit. So we listen to him all the time.
Angie actually
I did.
contacted. Well, you contacted Savon and said, "Hey, there's a CrossFit owner that you probably should talk to."
Okay.
And see,
The
Karen making her presence
debut.
known.
You contemplating knocking something off the table?
She'll try. Anyway,
but you can throw her down.
Oh, she's all right. I mean,
we were very professional here. Karen, get out of here. Go on, get out. But anyway, she suggested to Savon to talk to him, and because he's got a hell of a story, and it was 4 hours.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
He spent 8 years in prison. Hostages, guns, drugs.
Never done that before.
I mean, and, it's 20 years ago, but he's just now opened up, in the past couple of years and told people about that. I mean, everybody, people knew, his friends knew, but
he's such a great guy, very inspirational. I mean, it's just
motivational, and he helps so many people now with CrossFit. And
how far he's come.
But he came from a terrible background.
Those are always my favorite stories. I just feel like I kind of relate to people that kind of just defy the odds and go against adversity. So, any of those stories, I'm a sucker for them.
You'll listen to 4 hours straight.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He has a helper that we joke about it all the time, because I actually made a little image of it as he's watching the screen. He's actually in Afghanistan. He runs this part of it.
Savon, the
Savon,
podcast.
Okay,
and Savon's buddy, as Jason is telling this story, is just he is just getting closer and closer to the screen, and his eyes are this big, and what? Because it was a 3-hour car chase.
Yeah.
And, he's just like, what? He was 120 miles.
Mm-hmm.
What? So it's an intense story.
It's crazy.
But he's the same way. I mean, he's just I'm not going to let that hold me back. And
he also says that money is not the, yes, he wants to, he opened up the CrossFit gym to, he wants to make money from it, of course, and it support him, but his main goal is to inspire and help other people and help them be healthy.
Absolutely.
And it's great. It's absolutely great.
Yeah, I think from most of the books that I've read, and one of them actually, Traction, that you have up there, it's that book at my house is bookmarked and highlighted. I'll be
honest, I have skimmed it.
He's the same way.
That one is where kids are starting to, it's something I should have done a long time ago, but I want to get control.
Yeah.
And I don't have very good control right now. So I haven't actually read it. I've skimmed it.
It is a fantastic read. I mean,
well, that's going to be my
all
next
of this,
one.
Yeah, the EOS, the system, the all the one. I don't remember the guy's name, but there's 4 books.
Giano or Gino. It's with the G.
Gino Wickman.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that one did a lot. I had a lot of reflecting, and because their biggest thing with all these businesses, it's not I just want to be rich.
Yeah,
we probably won't get there. Nobody wants to hire a business that's all that they care about is profit. You think of Apple, because literally that's everything that's in this room right now is Apple.
Sure.
You look at Apple's why statement. That's why people buy Apple. Mm-hmm. They don't buy an iPhone because it's the greatest phone there is. It's got the best cameras. Sure, there's better ones, but you buy it because of their why.
Yep.
And so, even as a small business and an entrepreneur, people purchase your product based off of your why, and then you tend to align with similar people, which is kind of how we've connected. Is our whys are very much in line with each other. Yeah. And then I
know he talks about the rocks and mapping it out. I was doing that before, which whoever I learned it from probably learned it from him. But it's you got to know where you're going and then break it down. And we had a few quarterly meetings and talked about our rocks and but we need to get back to that.
Yeah, we do. Have you ever read Ryan Stewman? Have you ever followed him at all?
I don't think so.
I'll have to introduce you to that one. That's the book. The example is the one that I just read.
Okay.
And did a lot of my latest posts based off of what I was reading from him. But he's another entrepreneur, big guy in the space. He knows all of them, like Andy Frisella and all those guys.
Okay.
But you will You will love reading about him. He's been through a ton of
Another prison story.
prison story.
Okay.
Terrible upbringing, basically. Just lots of hard stuff, but he rose above. And
Those are my
it's
favorite.
amazing. You'll love it. You'll love it. Well, when you first started, what are some of the challenges? When you before we get into that, you're also a fireman.
Yeah.
So I think you need to talk a little bit about that too. What got you into that?
Well, funny story. Not really. It's pretty standard on that one. My stepdad, again, he was a volunteer fireman when we lived in New Lex, which is where I grew up. So as a kid, the tones would go off in town. You'd hear it, and then Dad would get up from the kitchen table and out the door, or he had his stuff right beside the bed and out the door. And the one thing about him is, you can still tell that the fireman's in him. He doesn't do it anymore, but if we talk about running pump or fires that he's been on, like his face just lights up, and
Really?
he still has that passion. And so I had always thought about it, and in my 18 to early 20s or so, it had been something I thought about, but I really didn't know how to kind of go about it, and I just never really jumped on it. And then 2012, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And I started off as a volunteer, which that doesn't really exist anymore. But I started off that way, and it was actually Licking Township, which is where I met Kyle, and they paid for all of my schooling, and that would be my professional fire card and my paramedic certification. So I was there for 10 years, and that's when I figured out, like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then, so then I worked private EMS for 5 years. I learned a lot. I'll never do it again.
Really?
Yeah, it was not enjoyable. But I always wanted to be on the fire department. I mean, I worked as a teller at Fifth Third Bank at one time, and I just can remember staring out the window and watching Ladder 2 respond down 21st Street, like just daydreaming, like someday that'll be me. And now it is, except I thought I'd ride a fire truck, but I ride an ambulance. But so I got my paramedic card because in Ohio, you used to have to be a paramedic. Now there's nobody that wants to do the job, so now you don't really have to get it just yet. Yeah, so I basically decided at that point that the fire service is what I wanted to do, and so that's what I did full time. And then the business was a way for me to do something that wasn't fire related, so I didn't want to spend all my time at the firehouse. I wanted to work my full-time job and then do something different.
Is it as common now with firefighters to have a side hustle? Because they used to all have a side hustle because of your schedule.
Most of everybody I work with has a side hustle, some kind of a skill.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's something you need done, you could ask somebody at the firehouse, and I mean, the biggest line in the fire service is, telephone, tell a friend, tell a fireman. So, and that's, believe it or not, how a lot of my business got to where we are now.
Oh, for sure.
Is because,
got a heck of a network there.
Do one thing for one fireman, next thing you know, a Columbus fireman's heard about you, and then, a fireman in Powell has heard about you, and then, it just, it
you
spreads.
guys seem to be driven.
Yes.
I mean, you seem to be very driven. Nick Watling. Do you know Nick? Nick is, I'm not sure which firehouse he's at.
Bolt.
But he just started. He just started a what's the business? It's a
power washing?
No, he was like not dumpster.
I don't remember.
Haul is something. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Sorry, Nick, if you listen to this. But he just started it. I mean, you all seem to be just driven to start things and go, and you don't give up. You just do it and you make it successful.
Well, I think a lot of us are also bored.
Are you really?
2 days off in a row, and
I was going to say
24 on, 48 off. Is that what you do?
So the nice thing about Newark is we have what's called a Kelly Day. So every 21 days, I get 5 days off. In other words, like mine right now is Tuesday. Now next year it'll be Friday, so I can go to all my kids' band events, or like Friday Night Lights, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So I had vacation Wednesday, which was 2 days ago, and then I'll work Saturday, and then I'll be off Tuesday, and I won't go back to work until Friday. So I have 5 days off. Yeah. And so, and a way for me to supplement my income so that, my family can prosper and can enjoy things in life is through my business. And, as I build it to where it runs itself, then I'll get my time back as well as the financial benefits as well.
Sure.
So with our profession and, we spend 24 hours at work and then we get 2 days completely off opposed to somebody that works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
How do you cook dinner and do laundry?
Mm-hmm.
You do it on Saturday.
Yeah, that's true.
So at this point, I could never work a traditional 9 to 5. I would go insane.
Same.
We work more than
Even
9 to 5,
yeah.
but
We do.
We've literally, she quit first.
Yeah.
I quit second. I had my own business. I was a boat mechanic in a previous life. But so it was technically my own business.
Remember Boat Boys?
He's pretty too young. But I had a partner that was a lot older than me. And when I stopped doing that, when this took off and she was saying, hey, I need help. And that was way back in the 1900s.
When
1998.
Okay.
It's the last
Chase
time
was
either
born,
one of us had a job.
Chase was 97, and I was carting him around.
So, but I left in like 98. So, it's been 25 years almost.
See, that's awesome.
And, we work a lot. We've probably missed some things. We got to do a whole lot more with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, we could never go work for somebody.
No.
Yeah,
so it'd be tough.
I definitely think it's a blessing, especially, when you make it past the standard, 5 and 10 year mark that they say most businesses fail at. Like you actually get further ahead. And
we've seen lots of competitors come and go.
You have the mindset that you'll be fine.
Yeah,
totally fine.
Had the same one when I went through medic school because I'm not a classroom type person. Like college was never for me. So medic school was one of those things. I'm like, I am not sure how I'm going to get through this.
You just got to get through it.
But I'm not doing it again. So it's a one and done, and it was a one and done. I finished
How long did that take?
It was 14 months when I went through it. It's getting longer now just because they, expand the scope of practice and the amount of, hours they want you in the field practicing before they will turn you loose.
Uh-huh.
But, like math has never been my strong suit. So,
Me
you got to do these drug calcs. And I'm like, well, I know in reality how it works, but, they want me to figure out how to math right now. And I'm like, I don't know.
I'm terrible at it too.
Yeah. So in the real world, and just like anything school wise, in the real world, like I have my phone that has a calculator on an app that somebody had already come up with, and I don't have to try to math. I just say, okay, this person weighs about 200 pounds. I'm like, okay, you give this much of this drug. Whereas in school, you'd have to be like, okay, so 200 pounds in kilos is, times that by 2.2, you get this. Okay, now add, subtract, divide, so on and so forth. And I would just be like, I wasn't good at this in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that's always just kind of been, I've never been one to quit on anything. I don't know how to do it. Yeah.
So the gutters now, how's it going?
So it's good. Always could be better. So unfortunately I get that one from my dad. So we are never complacent. We are always trying to be better. When we started in 2021 in June, I think we did about 30 jobs. And it was just myself, my dad, and my younger brother that would help.
Just word of mouth.
Just word of mouth. Our second year, we did. I'm going to pull up my statistics just because I prefer to have my numbers here.
Look at you. You've got your numbers.
I have to just because I want to make sure I'm accurate. So
that's awesome.
By 2022, we had completed 83 jobs.
Oh, my gosh. More than doubled.
Yep. So our revenue growth had increased by 204%, and our workflow had increased by 151%. That's awesome. And now I did a lot of stuff. There was plenty of times that, as you guys have probably experienced too, that I didn't have help. So there would be jobs that it was just me.
Really?
And so, there's sections of gutter that, you're just looking at and you're like, it's just me. How am I going to do this? And then, again, it's just one of those things, like part of it's the firefighter to me, and part of it is just the relentlessness and the
get it done.
Just won't quit. So you're just like, well, I guess we're going to try this. And so it's just kind of worked out. And then, through the perseverance and the hard work, it's really, paid off a lot that this year, we actually started partnering with 2 roofing companies. So
Oh.
Heath is one of them. He was actually my first,
Uh-huh.
and then Roof King is another one.
Hmm.
And then there's been a couple other, like I've talked to like Columbus Roofing Company. I haven't done anything for them yet. But with Heath, the way him and I met is I had competed in a bodybuilding competition long, long ago with one of his, at the time, salespeople. And then out of nowhere, he just messaged me. He's like, hey, you know, I'm doing this with Heath right now. You know, he's looking for a gutter guy. You happen to be a gutter guy. Like, can I pass your information along? So he did. And then we ended up doing a job for him. And then, you know, I always like to meet the other entrepreneurs because, you know, I'm not just like, whatever. You know, it's like, no, I want to meet who runs this show. Like,
Yeah.
I want to make these connections and network with these people. I don't want to just talk to your salespeople because we aren't on the same wavelength. You're just a salesman that's working for $1. I want the person that's building a brand. I want to talk to them. So I met him on a job that we did for him in Lancaster. And I mean, he's always just loved everything we've done. And, you know, that's part of what gives me joy is when, you know, someone sees it and they're like, wow, this is incredible. Like, I didn't think gutters could actually make me feel like this.
Wow.
So we've done quite a bit for him. And then Roof King came along, and you know they've honestly kept us really busy, you know, with a lot of work. And it was the same thing with them. I wanted to meet the people that ran the company, just so that like I know who's who. And so I had done that. And they've also helped me a lot with, you know, growing my business and how to do it, because I know like their revenue streams are much higher. You know, they've been around for a little bit, not like a crazy long amount of time. You know, about the same amount of time as me, but you know, a roof costs way more than gutters.
They
so
knock them out in one day. They can stack up some revenue.
But that's cool that that you are the same. Heath was exactly the same way. Heath wanted to meet us too in person, and that ended up being like a 3 or 4 hour meeting.
We went to Three Tigers, old firehouse. And we sat
all
in there.
Three Tigers is good.
Yeah,
we like Three Tigers.
But it was cool because the same way, you know, let's sit down and chat and get to know each other. And
I mean, that's the best way any conversations have. I mean, you can have like some kind of a guideline or structure, like a little bit of a path to follow, but you really learn more when you kind of go off that beaten path.
That's why we kind of want to do. We're probably going to do. I know we're going to do with them.
Well,
meetups. We want to do local vibes meetups, and not not these meetups where you have to wear a name tag of who you are, and somebody gets up and talks.
Networking meetings where you go, you know, like BNI and in Blocko. There's a couple of them. Everybody meets for lunch, and you know, there's networking. It's good. I mean, it's good, but it's, you know, you get your name tag on, you stand up, you get 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
Formal.
You know, it's a pitch, and the thing that I don't like about it, you know, there's a lot of salespeople in there. You're not technically business owner, you know, insurance guy, you know, and it's the way they get to know people. It's networking. I like just what you're saying. I want to talk to the entrepreneur, you know, the people that's got the mindset that we have, that we're trying to grow a business, not just make sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've been throwing this idea around saying, let's just have, you know, one Wednesday we're going to meet up at some place, and you know, if you drink bourbon, drink bourbon. If you don't, you don't. You know, if you want to smoke a cigar, go smoke. You know, just hang out with other business owners, and no pitching, no selling. You know, just get to know people, and you know how it works.
Yeah.
Things come out of that for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that would be good because my best friend and I talk a lot about business. He works for Lego. He actually just moved to Australia this February.
What?
Yeah, packed up everything and took a job in Melbourne. So like all the numbers and stuff that I track now, and a lot of the stuff I do business wise, I mean, that's what he does just for somebody else. And so we always talk about it. So I had just, I talked to him about what's going on and like how to do things, because he does that all the time. And when we were talking about like an elevator speech, because you know I'm looking to hire people so that it can kind of alleviate my burden, so I can focus more on the 20% and get 80% of the results. And he's like, well, give me your elevator speech. I'm like, I don't have one.
Right.
I'm way too blunt. I'm too abrasive. Like I'm not the person that's going to sell you something. I'm not going to be able to just sell you something you don't need. If I believe in it, then yes, I could sell it to you because I feel like I'm actually doing a service to you, not just like, oh yeah, you should buy this.
Yeah.
You know,
and we're the same way. This is what we have. You know, if this is what you need, it's a good fit. If not, we'll try to point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
We don't pressure anybody.
Yeah, so I don't have a good sales pitch. So if I had to do something that's like, oh, you got to give us a sales pitch on...
Your sales pitch is, hey, your gutters are hanging off and you need new ones.
Yeah.
I can do that.
You can either replace your gutters now or you can replace your foundation later.
Yeah.
One's cheaper than the other. You decide.
Yep.
Let me know.
Well, I would say, I mean, even though I'm basically the main salesperson with our stuff, I've always struggled with that too. I've struggled more so of pressuring people too hard. It's like that salesperson part of it. I'm like, I hate it because I hate it when it's done to me. And that's what I typically do. I just had to do it yesterday with somebody that I had to call back that was interested in the dashboard and a website. And he's like, well, I have to talk to my wife. She's she helps me. She's a partner in this. And the way I'm taught, the way I've been taught by mentors, different mentors, not all of them, but it's like, no, you go after that objection and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know what? I would have said the same thing because Pat and I are a team with our business. And so, I would have said the same thing. And so what I told him, I'm like, that's great. I want you to be on board 110%. Versus, doing this and then getting a kickback from your wife saying,
buyer's remorse.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that. I want you to go into this knowing this is what you guys want to help build your business. Yep. So I'm the same way.
Yeah, I've never been good at it. I mean, at least with gutters, like you either need them or you don't. It's kind of a necessity. Your roof and your gutters are your home's first defense from water damage. If your roof is leaking, you're going to get drywall damage, interior type of damage. If your gutters are not efficient, not working, or undersized, that water has to go somewhere, and it's your foundation. And if you have a basement, you get water in the basement, or when you have that damage around the foundation, your house will shift. So you're going to get all kinds of different problems if those kind of things aren't taken care of.
Yeah.
So they're highly important, and I feel that oftentimes they're typically undervalued because people don't typically look at it until they get replaced, and then you realize, oh wow, that really actually made a difference. So I can sell that just because it's like I'm not like at a bank. They're like, oh, have you thought about applying for this credit card? My credit's not good, so no, I haven't. Or, like, I don't need another credit card. I don't want a credit card. No, I don't want to refinance my house. But that's what the banks want is they push you. They want their tellers to sell you stuff because that's how they're going to make their money. And that's with really anything. I mean, a car salesman, it's the same way. That's how they make
rust proofing,
their money.
Undercoating, and
all these extra things that they sell on it, and that's just not me. It's never been me, and so I've never been good at it.
And how do people feel about car salesmen and loan officers? That's they make money and it works, but it doesn't always mean that's what you need to do. And we're the same. So.
Yep.
So where are you going from here?
So this year,
what are the plans?
Well, this year we've got we've done 110 jobs. Actually, I think it's actually a little bit more than that. It's 112. So we've completed 112 jobs. We've increased our revenue 78%, and our job workflow is up 32%. So since we've started, our revenue has increased 400%, and so has our jobs. So the goal for now, my big, hairy, audacious goal, BHAG, or depending on what book you read, they word them all differently, or my 10X goal is I want to make $1 million in 2024. That would be another 400% in growth. But I figure let's shoot for the stars because it's so easy to be average. There's so many different routes you can take to be
It's
average.
better to set it too high and miss than set it too low and hit it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
For
what
sure.
happened this year is
Yeah.
I set it low and we surpassed it. And I was like, well, I aimed way too low.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, you know what? There's only going to be one way to get to, to what I want. There's only one way to get there. There's not 10. So I can't be like, well, I'm going to do this. So, and it's all on me, as you guys know, the success of your business it's what you put into it. However big or profitable you want it to be is up to you. So that is something that I decided this year at the end of the year, because our season is winding down. I mean, I don't know that we'll do a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Within the remaining,
unless we get a good ice storm,
30 days, and even then, I'm not a fan of the cold.
Oh, I bet. You don't want to ladder up in the ice storm.
No, we cleaned some gutters out in some pretty frigid temperatures, and I was like, I don't
Get you
like
in the
this.
spring.
Yeah, I'm like, we need to come back in the spring because everything's kind of frozen.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to get warmer anytime soon.
So
but it's Ohio.
How has just a little bit, and we don't have to focus on it very much, but how has the dashboard and what we call Justine The Lead Machine, how has that helped you?
It's actually, believe it or not, it's helped tremendously.
We believe it.
I would hope so, since you sold me on it. I will be completely honest, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. I know that the dashboard has so many tools, and I know I'm not using all of them. Just like
we don't even use
just
all
like my computer and just like my phone. I know there's so many things that they can do, and I'm only capable
we take a lot
so
of
much.
responsibility for that because we haven't been able, or we haven't taken the time to teach what is there. But that's getting ready to change. We're trying to finish our group where we can show you, hey, don't forget about this part, because there is just a ton, and we have a lot of people that don't,
they don't want to use it for all of the things. The nice thing is it's got so much there that you can take advantage of, but you don't have to.
Yeah,
and we can turn it off. On we can say don't show you this. Person account by account, we can say don't show them this, don't show them this, but we just open it up if you guys want to. I mean,
I like having all of it. I just am.
It's overwhelming for a lot. And there's
what's your favorite thing so far?
I really like that it keeps me on track.
Yes.
That is the most important thing for me.
Opportunities.
Yes, the opportunities tab. I abuse that tab.
Yeah.
Have you changed any of the stages
yourself?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Oh
yeah. Because I don't have, like secretaries or I haven't got to that point to be able to hire out things that maybe I'm not so good at, or to keep things in track and in order. Justine is kind of my employee to do that. Mm-hmm. So I can go in there and I can be like, okay, this person wants to be on a schedule because, they want their gutters cleaned in the fall and in the spring. Well, I can go in Justine and go, okay, this person needs, I just put it in the callback section. Like they want me to come back, and so like I track everything in Excel, all my tax purpose stuff, all my growth, all of that stuff I track in Excel because I just know how to use Excel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know how to use QuickBooks, so I don't use QuickBooks. I just use Excel. But in Excel, I can track all the jobs and estimates and all the measurables that I want. But to be like, okay, I've got, 200 estimates on here. Well, where are we at now? At least with Justine, I can be like, okay, I've done 10 estimates this month. 5 of those people have said, put me on your schedule. They go into the sold section. I think it might be worded as something different on there. Anyway, and then, you have like the new leads. So those are just the ones that, I bid those out and they all sit in there. And then, if that person gets back with me, I move them over.
Perfect.
And then, it also helps me kind of make sure that my Excel spreadsheet is balanced, because if my revenue matches, Justine and Excel, then
so you put in,
we're good.
You put in the exact amount.
Yes, I do.
Oh, yes.
I track all, the amount.
Isn't it cool when you can just open it up and say, there's where I'm at right now?
Yes. And that's the nice thing about it is
got to have a good data though.
It's all right there, so you don't have to go finding things. It's just kind of all there. And then, I like that there are so many options, because as we grow, our use will expand. and then you can send, requests for reviews right there. So I don't have to explain to somebody, well, you have to go to Google and then you got to find us
Look
here
for me
and then click it here. I just send them it sends them the link, and people
are giving you reviews.
Yeah, so for the most part, like personally, if you wanted me to review something, if I have to go find it, chances of me actually doing that are much, much less than if you just send me a link and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that.
Do you reply back to them and everything in there?
Yep.
Good.
I try to make sure that I get back with everybody that leaves us a review. Let's see. Like I said, I've been playing around and looking at things. I like the fact that I can, adjust my website. So if I want to,
yeah,
do
yours was
different
made
sales,
within.
Justine.
Yours was made within Justine.
Yep.
We had that. The dashboard has that option to do that, or it can be incorporated into another website.
Okay.
But yours we created
It's
within.
just simple. I mean, it's what
Yeah.
you need.
Which is good because, like I can be like,
and you can manage it.
We want to, I want to change this, or, as we grow, like talking about like the why and core values, like that has taken me a lot of soul searching, I guess, to figure out, okay, what are mine?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can kind of implement those. Now I'm not as good at this stuff as you guys are, so I tend to be like, hey, can you do these things for me?
Which is fine.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll say, aside from what the dashboard itself offers, it's really you guys that is the biggest thing, because I know that if I have a dumb question and I message you guys aren't like, oh my God, this is such a dumb question. You're very helpful in making me feel less dumb.
I'll tell you what, I could have wrote a book, and I should have, and I could kick myself for not keeping all the emails that I've gotten over 25 years of clients asking me questions. And none of them are stupid questions, but I get asked over and over again. I'm like, I told him this not long ago. It wasn't that long ago. Like, oh my God, if I could have kept all those questions and answers, I should have just been keeping a note.
It's not too late to start.
Yeah.
Well, I know that. I know. And we're doing a lot more videos now. We're going to try doing a lot more all the time to try to help people with that. So.
Well, our big struggle is, like I said, we haven't been doing enough to help you guys. We want everybody using it because there's so much. We only win when you guys win.
Right.
So we can do anything to help.
Wait till you start learning the automation stuff.
And that's honestly how Justine got the name. It came from a movie. It was.
Have you ever watched Why Him?
Oh, is this a chick flick?
No, it's a Christmas movie.
No, it is
it's
hilarious.
A Christmas movie. I don't think so. I'm gonna have to.
You have to.
Is it on any streaming devices?
I don't even know. I bought it.
Okay.
So we actually own it.
I'll look and see if it is.
I can't remember the guy's name.
Well, pull it up, or look it up.
I'll get distracted.
Franco or
Frank.
What is his name?
Anyway, there's an automation that it's like Siri, but better.
Computer.
Okay.
It's a computer, and that's the voice, and it's the voice from the chick from Sheldon and that show.
Okay, Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
Kelly Cuoco or something like that.
Okay.
It's her voice, and she's like Siri. She like lives
within the whole house,
in the cloud. And we love the movie, and Justine was funny on the dashboard. It started out by people using the automations and just putting in a fake name.
Okay.
Hey, this is Justine, and people would know, like you would know, this came from the automation.
Okay.
But people would actually think, "Hey, Justine, I'm doing good," and they would answer back and forth. So it just became Justine as this dashboard.
Okay, that's awesome. Now I'm gonna have to watch the movie. I'll look and see because I work tomorrow. So
if you don't like bad words or vulgarity, you won't like it. It's.
Have you ever spoke to a fireman before?
It shows my immaturity.
I'm being very tame right now.
How old are the kids in your house?
So my fiance has 4. She's older than I am. Her oldest is 23, and then that one is self-sufficient. She lives on her own, has her own job, takes care of herself. And then we have 3 in the house. The oldest is 19. And then we have 14, 12 going on 16.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Must be a girl.
How'd you know? We got to have the
I love
latest.
you, Emmy.
Got to have the latest Lululemon clothes,
yeah.
and got to shop at Sephora or Sephoraza or whatever it's called, and
You
Nike
were right,
Dunks.
Sephora.
Oh yeah, so she it's known she's not mine, but you would honestly think she was, because we share very similar traits, like not being on time to things.
Well, the only reason I say that is because there's some explicit stuff in there or whatever, but
it's vulgar.
It's vulgar, but it's hilarious.
Oh, our house is not for the thin skin.
Yeah, ours isn't either.
Then you'll love it. You will love it.
I was a hockey and lacrosse coach. I coached varsity lacrosse, and like we always laughed every year. The freshmen that would come up, they would be like, well, it's way different up here. The language that high school kids use. So sometimes you have to use it back to them to get their attention.
Yeah,
I wasn't shy about the F word.
I was gonna say, I tell everybody at work, I'm like, you guys can't hurt my feelings. My kids already do that. Like, don't worry, my kids are savages. They probably would get mad not that they're on Facebook, but they're like, oh, you call me your kid? I'm like, yeah, you basically are mine. Like, I've been in your life for 8 or 9 years. I don't really remember exactly, and like
close enough.
I'm here almost all the time with you. I'm at all of your stuff. Like, I've walked the youngest one to kindergarten.
Aww.
And now she's in middle school, and now every day it's like, I think I'm taller than you. I'm like, well, it's not hard to do. I'm only 5'4". Your guys' dad's like 6'1", and your mom's 5'7".
You're gonna lose that.
Yeah, I'm like, you're the only one I got left that I'm still somewhat taller than. The rest of you are all past me.
All mine have passed me.
My
Is
boys
Chase
are
past
both.
you?
Yes, they're both taller than me.
Yep. I'm the shorty.
Yeah, they're I love them to death, but they're definitely savages. There's definitely no that kind of stuff isn't a problem at home,
because then you'll absolutely love that movie. It's one that we always watch every.
It's a movie. I mean, we watch it every Christmas. It's Christmas. It just happens to be Christmas time during the movie.
Yeah,
but almost nobody we ever talk to has ever heard of it.
Okay, well, so I typically watch movies that I want to watch when I'm at work in the evening, because I'll work on business stuff during the day. I mean, CEs, in case that's frowned upon from the administrative side. But
James Franco, this is it.
And I mean, I may have seen it, but if I rewatched it,
no, you would know. Trust
Kiss
me.
is in it.
I don't know. See, I forget a lot of things, so there's a good chance. But I'm not sure if I have or not. My mom probably has. But I'm not sure.
And the guy, what's his name?
Keel. I don't know which one they're.
I was gonna say if it's on like Hulu or Netflix or anything like that, when I'm at work, when I go to my bunk for the evening, that'll be my movie for the night that I watch.
Oh, it made me realize.
We watch it over and over again.
I mentioned something in it. I just made a Facebook post where I mentioned.
You did, yeah.
Heath responded with a quote from that movie.
Oh, yes.
That's like the first time it's ever happened in my life. I was like, yes.
You're like,
finally.
We knew we liked you. We knew we were, what did I put? I knew I was destined to meet you.
That's funny that it was Heath. Yeah. But anyway, that's where Justine's name came from. But
so
automations.
A little bit more, another question about your business. What's your most memorable part? I can't talk today.
Oh, man,
what's your most memorable part so far of helping somebody?
A lot.
Really?
I have met a lot of interesting people. Just the variety of clientele that we deal with. One person that we've done gutter work for, she races sled dogs, and
oh yeah, you were just telling us about that.
To meet somebody that does
Central
something
Ohio.
like that, yeah, and you're like, really? That's really cool. We've done gutters for a guy that owned over 100 apartment complexes and several businesses. We did. This would probably come underneath one of the most challenging things that I've had to deal with, as well as an interesting thing is we took on a job because I don't really know how to say no, and we ended up having to rent a boom because we didn't have ladders that were big enough, and that was out at the lake. Yeah.
Right down from your mom and dad.
Yeah,
the Wilsons.
I thought that's where you guys live, but they wanted to hire a local company, and they, gave us the opportunity to do the job.
Tower.
And I was like,
it's a castle.
I was like,
Great people, though.
Oh, yeah.
Super
They were
nice.
super patient with us because it was definitely a learning experience for me. And it ended up just being my brother and I.
Oh.
Do you have any employees?
They're all 1099.
Just helpers.
And so 2 of them ended up being like my brother's friends. So they're all younger. But they all show up to work.
Yeah.
If they
rare.
complain, they don't really do it in front of me. But
Mm-hmm.
the 3 of them, they just kind of talk about gaming, really, because that's all that generation's about.
Right.
So they talk while they work, and for the most part, we really haven't had any issues with that. But when we did that job, we were getting ready to go to Florida on vacation, and I only had my brother, and the sections of gutter were about 60 feet a piece, which typically takes 2 people to hang that, because you can't have a piece of metal elongated that far without support. And it was 40 feet in the air, so it's just like,
dang,
how do I get this up there? So I ended up having to put a extension ladder on the bucket of the boom and then tie it down, get it up to the building, put some screws in it to hold it on the house, and then I had it tied to the ladder. And then I realized when I looked at it, I was like, oh, how am I going to untie it off the ends all the way out there? So I climbed through a window, walked downstairs, moved my 40-foot ladder, untied them, and then could readjust it from that point. But
oh my goodness,
that one was an interesting experience, to say the least. I've definitely got myself into jobs that I'm like, how are we going to do this?
How long did that one take you to finish?
It took 2 days. It took all of that day. And you're talking summertime, so it was like 9 o'clock by the time we were done. I mean, we had all the gutter up because I'm not paying for this boom for any longer than I have to, because it's not cheap. But we did have to come back later and finish up a couple of things, just because we ran out of daylight, and we ended up having another one like that with Roof King in Zanesville. It was kind of a weird looking house. They built an extension on the top of their house, and it wasn't like, it was just centered. So it just looks really weird. But the back of it is 4 stories in the air, and the front was 3. And so, I'm sitting here looking like, how are we gonna do this? And I'm not gonna, I have to consult with Roof King first. Like, if I need a boom, like, you guys have to be in agreement that, like, that's going to be a part of the bill. And, I try to maintain good relationships. So just ended up tying my brother off on a rope and a harness, and up on the roof he went, and he hung it up by himself, and we got it done though. So there's definitely been some interesting things like that, and then just the type of people that we encounter, and just their experiences. I mean, we've done gutters for a guy in Granville that his business transports all the stuff for the Ohio State Buckeyes to all the away games, and his family always has.
That's cool.
And he actually used to play for the Buckeyes. I don't remember what year it was. Ken, I don't think we'll hear this, but if he does, his name's Ken Blair. So he'll have to forgive me for not remembering when he played, because he did tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he was probably one of my most memorable people to deal with. Just a very, very patient, very laid back person, and just really good to work with, and just an overall down to earth person. The stereotype that comes with a Granville person. He's not that person, and he's been in business for a long time. He's definitely successful.
Oh yeah, there's lots of big business people there. So
it's I honestly, I feel bad for a lot of people that have to work in an office because you don't get to know other people and what makes them tick and what makes them start things. So that's cool that you get to talk to people like that and more in depth. It's like we just had our stairs recarpeted.
Okay.
And I called a local guy from Pataskala. I could have had Lowe's or Home Depot come in and do it for me, but I chose to hire somebody that had their own business.
Yeah.
And he Jason just talked and talked and
Ended up being a
talked.
big Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
He had the
it was
inside of his
cool.
van was Ohio State carpet, like up the walls and
Oh,
around.
that's
It was
sweet.
really- so we just talked and talked. It was a Saturday, so he
Yeah.
was there trying to knock it out. So he'd go home,
Watch
back home
the
and
game.
watch the game. But
Well, that was fun. It was fun getting to know somebody. And I think a lot of people don't have any clue because, again, they are thinking about, the money aspect
Mhm.
of it. And
well, we talk about this. Our kids didn't go to college.
Okay.
So she
Well,
did. I did for
Chase
a while.
did
Well,
for about a year
they
and a
didn't
half.
finish. He didn't finish. I didn't finish. I've always been an entrepreneur.
Basically, both of us.
Yeah, it's always been, even in high school, I always used to think about, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to
They do
do
say
this.
it's always the C student.
100%.
Well,
That was me. I mean, that was me. I could get a C without cracking the book,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't care because I get B's and C's, and I didn't have to try very hard. But I wasn't interested. There was nothing that I wanted to do.
Oh, I could get C's and be trying really hard.
But our kids have found out, because they got some heat. We got some heat. We were wondering if it was the right thing to do or not.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this shift, from in our world, the real world, is still saying go to college.
Get a degree.
We know
get
a
a job.
lot of contractors that make a lot of money that didn't go to college.
Yep.
But the problem is these kids, and it's mostly guys now, they play games. They don't know how to go out and fix their
Yep.
shit.
And they don't know how to talk.
They don't know how to talk to people
Yes.
because they've got their phone. And
why would I interact with people in person when I can do it
Right.
online?
Yeah.
and people don't understand that, the trades, having a skill is huge. Firefighters could take over the world now because they're the only ones that are willing to work and do something with their hands because it's just not encouraged anymore.
Yep.
So they're finding out their own thing. They've got their own skills. Most of them are digital, but they do their own things. And there's not very many kids that think like they do, or that I'm just like, well, I could do that. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, I'm very much we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it drives my fiance nuts because she's like, you can't just do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I made it this far in life.
Yep.
Because she's a nurse, so she went to college, and
Which you have to.
she has
for
to.
that.
So I think for her, because we talk about like the kids going to college and getting the college experience. I'm like,
Yeah.
if that is what they want, and if their career choice requires it, but otherwise, kind of like you, I went to college and was like, this is not for me. I
went for the experience, but that's why I didn't finish.
Yeah, well, I watched American Pie and thought it would be like that.
Oh.
And I went to the Newark branch, and then it wasn't like that. And I'm also not like a partier. I'm not I'm social, but if we have things to talk about, I can't just BS with people. So then I was like, man, this is nothing like the movies.
Yeah.
So I never continued through with it. So, now I'm like, well, I got these student loans, and I don't have anything other than the student loans to show. So with the kids, it's like, yeah, if you can get scholarships, if they want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something that requires a degree, go for it. But if that's not what you
that
want,
at
don't.
18, at 19, that's what we say.
I didn't.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
I don't want to grow up.
No, I don't either. That's why I like movies like I Am.
Actually.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, with her, like I said, with her, she knew she wanted to be a nurse. She's always known that that's what she wanted to do. And I'm like, that's awesome. I've never known that. I never knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah, some people know from when they're young that this is what
we
I
just
want.
had it with our boys. They're trying different things. Some are working, some are not. They went and did something. They didn't like it. I'm like, it's just an experience. You've learned.
Yeah.
It's not a failure. You're 20. You're in your 20s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Go try stuff. Figure
Absolutely.
out what you want to do. You don't have to be locked into a cubicle for the rest of your life.
And then that sounds miserable too.
Well, but with honestly, with our family on both sides, because they came from a generation where they weren't pushed to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, ingrained in them probably on TV and through school that you have to do this to be able to succeed. So that's their mindset.
Well, back then, a lot of those corporations that they worked for said you can't move up any higher unless you have a degree. Yep. And this kid that's got no experience with the degrees, all of a sudden, your boss, and that's that. So that's
what fueled that. but we're definitely more so of ones that you can learn so much more from.
So what advice do
Other
you give the
businesses.
young buck that's wanting to do something besides play games and start his own business, whatever it is?
I encourage anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur to do it. But I do, however, think that you need to do your research because it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, if you think that you're just going to make all this money and it's just going to be great and I'll pick something easy, if you're going to succeed, that's not going to happen. You're going to have nights where you can't sleep. You are, and I'm not a salesman, so I'm not going to be able to sell this one to anybody. I'm just going to tell you the reality of it is you are constantly going to be learning. I thought when I graduated high school, like, I'm done with all this, to hell with it. And if you would tell me at 16, 17 years old that, I've read 50 or so books within the last 3 years.
I didn't read shit in college.
Exactly.
Or high school. I haven't read all of those. And that's just there's a giant behind that curtain that's got
Full.
10 times that many books. So,
Yeah.
And not to mention, my Audible. I've got a ton.
I got a lot
Audible.
of those. A lot of windshield time, listen to the books.
For sure. I just helped my son move down and back from Tennessee. And I was in the car by myself and I listened to podcasts and audiobooks. I don't listen to music at all. It's in my head.
change it up. Sometimes I'll listen to music to give my brain a little bit of a break, but most of the time it's audiobooks. But anybody that's they want to start a business, you really got to do it for the right reason. Yes, I think all of us initially it is to make money, but if you want to sustain anything, it can't be about the money.
It's got to be more to it.
Yeah, sure, all of us want to be rich, but what kind of fulfillment in life do you have if you have money but no fulfillment, no meaning? So figuring out what your purpose is definitely an important thing. And I can't tell you how many people I've had say, and it goes back to with the fitness thing, like, oh, you'll get tired of it. You'll be doing all this and you'll get tired of it. It's like, but we're not alike. I'm not like you.
Yeah.
That's not how I work. So that person that wants to start their own business has to know, like, the success of this is solely on you. Some people aren't okay with that. Some people want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Some people do not like to be told what to do. And, when you start with nothing, like, you get to create something. So you have to have the ability to envision something, but you also have to be able to persevere. Rocky would be one of my biggest, like, person or fictional character to relate to, because he's not exactly the smartest person. He's the underdog, and he just perseveres. He keeps getting hit in the face and he keeps coming back. Most people would be like, dude, that's dumb. Why would you keep doing that? And that's kind of been my philosophy and just in my life and all this. I'm not the smartest person by no means. My best friend, again, as I bring him up, like, he didn't pay attention in class and he can get A's.
Yeah.
I cheated off of his work in English class. Sorry, Miss Johnson, if you happen to listen to us. She never caught me though.
Yeah.
And that was, part of only the way I could pass some of the classes is I would use my resources to my advantage to get ahead, because that stuff I'm not good at that kind of thing. But, the one thing I can do and always do is I just persevere. I just don't stop. And somebody
you have to pivot a lot of times.
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes, I don't know who said it. I may be making part of it up, but it's like, the only difference between you and whoever you're either looking up to or looking down at, the only difference is the amount of work that you've done. It's like people talk Elon Musk, he's worked his tail off. Nobody else has done what he's done.
And I'm sure he's failed a bunch.
For sure. I mean, the first 10 rockets exploded, at SpaceX.
Yeah.
He's down to his last 100 million.
Oh no.
That's, it's, you got to put it into work. Our kids see it. We heard it a little bit. We were working at home before it was, forced by the government.
Right.
But we've been at home for 25 years and we always got to, it must be nice.
Yeah,
we get that
I
all
love
the
that
time.
one. Oh,
Our
that
kids
must be
now
nice.
get that. Our middle son just got back from Cancun yesterday, doing a photo shoot for Sea-Doo.
Okay.
Sea-Doo paid him to go to Mexico to
That's
shoot
super
Sea-Doos.
cool.
So everybody's like, oh, it must be nice. he works his ass off and talks to people and networks, and he's earned the right.
And he worked from early morning until late at night when he was down there, so it wasn't like
he didn't have time to party. He was up. He said they had a meeting at 5 o'clock, and at 11 o'clock he'd fall in bed and get up and do it again. But it's nice, but I did a lot more. He did a lot more work than everybody else to get to that point.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite phrase to ever hear somebody say. Oh, that must be nice.
Yes,
it's like,
is.
You know what else must be nice? You just go to work mindlessly. You don't have any ambition or goal in life. You don't want to do anything different. And when you come home, you can just turn off. You turn your TV on and you're numb.
You made a comment. I wanted to comment. You said something about, sleepless nights. We're a lot older than you. It never stops.
Yeah.
I wake up thinking of business all the time.
That's what I did. Did you see my post of being in the hot tub?
3 a.m.
It's because I told him, I'm like, I woke up at 3, and sometimes I can get back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I laid there for about a half an hour, and I'm like, this is crazy. I need to just get up. So I got up, but I was thinking about 50 different things, and most of it was business related.
Mm-hmm. And we've said, the thing, it is nice. I've coached all my kids, raised them, been here every day. They leave for school every day. They get back. We're here just about. But, it's hard. I've never clocked out.
Yeah. What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want?
It would be nice to say, oh, it's 5 o'clock, clock out, and then wipe my brain and not think about it until the next morning when I got to get up. But, we haven't clocked out in 25 years. It's always on.
And it's not our personality either.
Right.
So even if we were there, we couldn't do it. Yeah.
I think it keeps us young doing that. Otherwise, what would we do? I'd have to put up with you.
Well, it's like retirement. There's a lot of people that retire and never do anything. I'd be bored to death.
Yeah.
They start drinking a lot and become alcoholics or croak.
Yeah,
that happens a lot too.
Yeah.
So we have another thing we talk about a lot. We do a lot of fitness talk. Obviously, how does your fitness help you in business? Not just carrying ladders and hauling big giant fat people into squads.
If you only knew.
I do know. I've had some friends that are EMT, and they're like, I know that the tater toters and the.
Luckily, we have power cots now, so you don't have to pick them up in the back of the truck. Because when you're vertically challenged, that's like a whole lift, and then like a calf raise.
Clean them.
So that's a whole different thing when you're short. Not
to mention having to use a chainsaw to get them out of the house. I've heard all of this kind of stories.
Somehow nursing homes have some of the biggest people you'll ever meet. And it's like, you guys are feeding this.
Yeah.
Like, there are rooms full of Ho-Hos and Twinkies and Doritos.
Somebody's buying it for him.
And pop. And it's like, he doesn't get out of bed, which means you came in here and you're contributing to this.
Job security.
Doesn't it make you sick? It just drives me
We say it all the
insane.
time. She had cancer treatment. We're going through chemo. Hey, do you want a Coke? No.
No,
How about a water?
Yeah.
No, when I would go in for a treatment and they started, they're like, do you want anything? Because of course everything it's not free because we paid a shit ton for it.
I was going to say
but they're like, oh, well, we've got Coke, we've got juice, we got coffee. And I don't like coffee at places like that. But
it's cheap.
They offered me that, and then they would offer me, well, we've got cookies, we've got Oreos, we've got chips and all this stuff. And I'm like, really?
Well, you're stronger than me. I would have taken them up on the cookies. I got a sweet tooth problem.
Oh,
it's
hard.
I'm fine with that now, and I can handle it, and I do because cancer feeds off of sugar. So for me, it's always in the back of my head all the time.
I function on a lot of sugar,
which I mean,
you're burning it off.
Yeah, you burn it off.
That too.
But it
so that question, the mindset, discipline, all that. How do you think that ties into business?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm an outlier when it comes to that. So to me, when I go to the gym, that is when my brain turns off.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have to worry about is, do I add 45 pounds or 25 pounds? Do I do 12 or 15? And so anybody that's ever worked out, whether you do powerlifting, CrossFit, or bodybuilding, it doesn't matter what it is you're doing. you actually physically see your progress. You actually see yourself succeeding and getting better, but it's also painful, Now I enjoy it. So it's not like, I love leg day. I love the feeling of not being able to walk. I love when my legs are so tight I can't bend my knees. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't. But, to me, and, I've said this so many times on, like Instagram and stuff, when you're squatting, and I'm not a power lifter type thing. I don't really believe in like the 1 rep thing because to me, it just, there's not, it's heavy, but if you have a moderate weight and you do it for multiple reps, there's a different type of pain with that. There's a different
Trust me,
thought
I
process.
know that.
Time under tension.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes. So, could I squat 500 or 600 pounds one time? Sure. Would it be impressive? Sure. But I would get way more from 315 for 20, because at 10, you want to quit. That hurts.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want to rack it. Nope. I said I'm doing 20. I'm going to 20, and it does not matter what happens. I actually, funny story, broke my middle finger attempting 315 for 20 because I vagaled down and fell forward at 19. I did get 20 later, but I did break the tip of I don't have a tip of this finger anymore because I shattered it between the barbell and the squat rack. But that translates to business, as I've mentioned with some of these struggles of how are we going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I could easily just be like, I'm just not going to do this. Like, we're just not going to do it. But that's just not me. It's the same thing with, when I'm in the gym and you're training, I'm a pump chaser, I guess you could call it. So I'm there to feel that burn and that pain, and then you just keep persevering through it. So that's created that discipline to, I can handle this. I can push past this. I'm not going to break. So I've always related that to life and anything that I do outside of that. That's just kind of where fitness is.
You just find a way.
Yeah. So
What gym you go to?
Maximum Fitness in Newark.
Okay.
And then on Tuesdays I train with Earl, which is one of the owners there, and he's got so many different titles, and he's got his IFBB Pro bodybuilding card, and so when I get to train with him, like, I really don't have to think about anything.
Yeah.
He just says, okay, this is what you're going to do, and and I've told him before, like, I want you to push me, like, don't you dare take this light on me, like, your goal is to try to break me. My goal is to not let you. So when we train together, that's exactly what happens. So.
That's cool.
And that's impact.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about impact a lot. That's you're willing to get coached.
Mm-hmm.
You said you had the friend at Lego that probably coaches you on how to run your
mm-hmm.
spreadsheets and all that. Are you helping anybody else behind you? Have anybody reached out to you?
In all different areas of life, I do. I want to do more, but I don't have a great sales pitch. So sometimes I'm a little abrasive to people. Probably my little brother would be the most. So we've got 13 years difference. He's 18. Both of us kind of have, his childhood was a little bit more rougher than mine, just with, my mom's addiction and whatnot. So I had a little bit better influences, but, my goal is to kind of make sure that he doesn't also end up as a statistic.
Yeah.
So I know, he wants to get into business and start things like that. So with him, I've really tried to let him learn from the things that I've experienced and, try to be like, you should do these kind of things. There's a lot of pain that I've had to experience from, being 18, so teenager until now. And, a lot of struggle that I don't want him to have to go through.
Right.
I don't want him to have to, need a car but can't get one because he can't afford it, or he doesn't have the credit, or you need to pay for something, but where do you get the money from? How are you going to do this? Being told no, or just not being able to get anything and to have to go without. Like, I don't want him to have to feel this pain. And the same thing with my my stepkids. That's one of the biggest reasons that drives me as much as I do, is I don't want them to feel the pain that I've had to feel.
Yeah.
So I think probably a lot of entrepreneurs, pain is one of their biggest motivators and drivers. And,
it's a good teacher too.
It's the best lesson we've got.
Yeah, we've, failures and we've had some of ours in business, but we've had a lot of, over 25 years, there were a lot of ups and downs.
I believe it.
With 9/11, the housing crash, and I mean, it was crazy, but you learn how to overcome. You have this mindset, and I think entrepreneurs have this mindset, and business owners, small business owners, we just do. And the way you are in fitness is kind of the way I am. I may not be quite as much liking the pain as you do, but I think Jason would tell you that. But I do a little bit. But then that kind of stuff helped me when I've had tests in the hospital, because you think, oh, good God, how am I going to get through this? And then you just, that mindset kicks in. I'm like, well, I was able to do this, so I can do this.
Absolutely.
I can get through that.
Absolutely.
So that kind of works in everything, doesn't it?
Sure does. So,
I know what I wanted to ask you about. Also, I saw your post with your dad, but that's your stepdad.
No, that's my biological dad.
Your biological dad.
That's
you
cool.
took to the basketball game.
I
that
did.
was last night, wasn't it?
That was. His birthday was yesterday, and my dad and I are actually really close. He lives in Grove City, and we talk all the time because, I mean, if he was sitting right here, you'd be like, oh, I see him, both of you, and our mannerisms are the same. The way we talk is the same. So, I have a very strong connection with my dad, and we have very similar mindsets. Forgive me, Dad, because I don't know what his title is, but he works for Nationwide, and he's worked his way up through there to where now he doesn't do like sales or anything like that. He works with like marketing teams and much, much higher up as far as like the businesses why and how they operate, and in turn offers advice to me because he can show me in a corporate world how they do things, and then I can relate these to myself. So I'm always so busy with business and family and everything else that I don't get to see him that much, and I don't like that because I know there'll be a day that he won't be here. So I had listened to Tim Grover's books. Winning and Relentless. And it got me interested in the Michael Jordan documentary and Kobe Bryant's documentary. And then listening to them talk about these athletes' mindsets, I related. And I was like, man, that's really cool. So I just started asking my dad like what games he'd like to see. And because we went when I was a kid, and we were like all the way up in the nosebleed. And, as a kid, like, you're not paying attention, but my dad loves basketball. Like, my dad knows all the players of all the teams. He knows their stats. Like, that's his passion. That's what makes him happy in life is basketball. So the idea came into my head, and if it gets in my head, it happens.
You're gonna do it.
So it popped up there, and I was like, I'm not gonna tell him, and that's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna buy his tickets, and then he can't say no because I already bought the tickets.
Yeah.
So I consulted with my stepmom and was like, hey, are you guys doing anything on his actual birthday? Because, there's a whole bunch of games that we could go to, but I was like, it'd be much cooler if it was, on his birthday. Like, I think just the time together is really the most important thing. So I got us actually really decent seats.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't realize they were as good as they were until we got there. And, so I made it kind of cheesy, and like I bought him a T-shirt and was like, happy early birthday, Dad. I don't know if I'll get to see you on your birthday or whatnot. And I was like, all right, I'm just kidding. I can't play this too long. I said, we're actually going to a Cavaliers game. Like, you don't have to keep the shirt. It was kind of a joke. But we're going to a game, and you could just tell right then, like he was really excited.
Did he light up?
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
When we got there, and we because we thought maybe I was like, man, are we gonna be like? I was hoping we'd be closer down, I didn't care how much the tickets cost. I wanted us to have good seats. And then, like, we walked down in, and he was like, oh, my God, these are really good seats. Because I told him, I said, next time we go, we're going to have floor seats. Yeah. And so we had really good seats. And, like, he was just infatuated with how great they were. And, this time we could actually see the player's face. Yeah. And you could see him talking smack to the ref. We couldn't quite hear them, but we could see him, like, doing this stuff to the ref. And then, it was a 2-hour drive there and a 2-hour drive back. And so we got, 4 hours
Great
of
time.
just talking, just everything, life, business experiences,
That's cool.
all of the above. And, so, like when we got back to, his house, like I could tell he had a moment, he didn't tear up, but, I could just tell like it meant a lot to him.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so that meant a lot to me.
As a dad, it's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
That's
neat.
cool.
Sorry, I had to say something about
No,
that.
No, it was
That's
good.
that's super important for me to, be able to do something for him because
Yeah.
I know that, he's both of my parents have sacrificed so much just to give me what what I did have in life.
Yep.
So any chance I can give back to any of them, I'm going to
Cool.
do it.
So we're about wrapped up here, but I always ask, what do you wish we asked you about that we didn't?
Oh,
Something we don't know.
I don't really think so. I mean, I think for the most part, we've pretty much covered just
Been all
about
over the place,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, without just going on for hours and hours. I mean,
Right.
I think we hit the meat and potatoes of
Well, we
everything.
know
hour
what
and
your
20
goal
minutes,
is. We know
Oh,
what your
okay.
goal is for this next year. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. So what is there anything you want to ask us? You want to know about?
This is like an interview question.
Yeah. You got full access to it. You know,
Yeah,
right now, but
yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I feel bad
That,
because I
that's
should.
good. That
No.
means we've done part of our job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We're gonna
mean,
try to do better.
I could just because I will as the ideas come in my head, I'll just be texting you. So like
Yeah,
you guys
sure.
probably get a text at 12 o'clock on a Saturday night or something.
We don't care.
Me wanting questions. And you guys did kind of go over like how you guys got started as a business, and those are typically my go-to questions with other entrepreneurs. Is I want to know why you guys got started.
Yeah.
Same as like I know why I started. I didn't have a handout. Somebody didn't hand me a successful business, and I just had to continue. Like I had to start from ground zero, and so meeting other people that have done that, and then I would say you guys talking about 25 years of it looks like the stock market if you look at it, and
Wow, 100% on that.
yeah. So to hear other entrepreneurs be like, I felt the same way as you do.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've wanted to quit, but I can't quit.
Yeah.
So those would be my questions. But we definitely talked about them, and I'm sure that there's a solid chance that
I mean,
I'll be driving home and have something.
Hit us up. I mean, we're definitely realizing we're older now. We don't always feel like
Darn
but
it.
we understand it. I mean, when she started it, we had to go buy a computer because people didn't have computers.
Mhm.
I mean, we were here before Facebook and Google. They didn't even exist. So we literally had to buy a computer, and she sat down and figured it out.
Yep.
And it wasn't, hey, let's start a website design business. It
Yeah.
was, she said, hey, I got an art background. Maybe I could design some brochures for some people.
Yeah.
And I need a computer to do that. So we went and bought. She had our first kid and just said, I don't want to go back. She had a real
Back
job,
to work.
and we just kind of we figured it out.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of mistakes. We've done things wrong, but we're still here 25 years later. Neither one of us feel like we've done enough. Even talking to you, I mean, we always feel like you probably already know that, but we know that sometimes we're a chapter ahead, and we need to start
Help
sharing
others.
a little bit more, and that's what we're trying to do
Yeah.
with this group and with people. We never say we know a lot, but we've been around, so
Yeah.
we know how to do a few things.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's the biggest thing for me. I just as much as I like talking about like my business and stuff. I like to hear other people's just because you guys with having experience, you guys have wisdom with your time and everything that you've gone through that you
Man,
can
I really like you.
give.
That's awesome.
You can you can give those things back to me,
Yeah, for
and I
sure.
can at least have a guide if I experience a similar discomfort in business to be like, okay, I should probably handle it this way. There's things that just as you guys are probably aware, just judging by that you have books to continually learn to grow. We're never a finished product.
I still pay for coaches.
Yeah,
We have business coaches.
exactly.
And that's why we're trying to, you always say it's not that somebody is above you or below you. It's they're in front of you. You can reach up for a hand, and you can also, reach back and give somebody a hand.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the way I like to look at it. And I've paid more in business coaches than I could have ever paid going to college.
Yeah, and I think that kind of thing is
getting their wisdom.
Yeah, and that kind of thing is so important, to admit that you don't know everything and you're not good at these things. To be able to say, I'm not good at this. I need to learn how to do that. I am not good at dealing with certain situations.
Yeah.
Talking people off a ledge is not one of them. Being sales is not one of them. There's too many times, a lot of emotion for me will come into play. Like if there's an issue with like a customer, like I have to take a step back. I can't reply right away. I have to be like, okay, how do I handle this? Because I have actually had it where I didn't handle it well. It cost me money. We worked it out later, thank God.
Yeah.
But the situation could have been better. And, it's something I think about later. So, getting to talk to other business people such as your guys' selves who have been there, you've done that, you've felt that. And then you can be like, okay, this is how we did these things, and like you guys said, you were here around 9/11, 2008. There was another housing crisis, after 08, what was it, 17, I think?
I can't remember.
And then, 2020. So like you guys have experienced a lot of market fluctuations,
sure.
and, not only that,
and we're like the first thing that people cut.
Right.
Which I'm trying like hell to get people to understand that that's not the route you should take. But I mean, we're always the first to go. So when a situation happens, I mean, COVID, 9/11 was our first big hammer. And that's the big one that made us go.
It was 03. We were heavy into car dealerships.
Okay.
Back in the day, we were, again, before cars.com, before Auto Trader, before they were really big. So we literally hand coded.
Okay.
I would go every week and take pictures of the new used cars they got, take off their old ones, put it on. And that was it's what built this house. We had a huge part of our revenue.
Absolutely.
And 03-ish, after 9/11, it was, the car business stopped.
Yeah.
And then Auto Trader came in and said, I'll do your website for free.
Yeah.
And literally we had a dozen or almost 18 dealerships, and like we were down to one in a minute.
Yeah. And you
it
guys
wasn't
had
down to one, but
we had one for a long time.
And you guys had to learn and pivot because your family depended on your ability to sustain, income and revenue to provide.
Word I use all the time.
Yeah, I liked it when you said that earlier, because it's exactly what it is. You have to be able to adapt to the market that's going on around you.
Not many people can.
No.
Not many people can do that.
Pivot or quit. That's what most people just quit.
Yeah. And then, not only that, but like you had said earlier, who doesn't have a smartphone in their pocket? I mean, I'm old enough, believe it or not, that when I went to high school, my math teacher was like, you'll never have a calculator in your pocket. Sir, you're wrong. I have a computer in my pocket.
In a broadcasting studio.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So you guys definitely went, you have seen a massive change in a lot of things that went from in person to we use these for everything,
I use it too much. My kids use it too much, but I was just telling her, there's now videos of babies crying, scrolling in their sleep because they want their phone or their iPad.
Isn't that's crazy?
That's
I don't
like
that.
That's a little extreme. I mean, my kids are very much like this all the time, and I'm still not a fan, but like at least they still socialize occasionally.
And that's what I mean. As your kids, you've got older ones, but that our kids, we always said, look them in the eye, shake their hand. You have to be able to talk to adults, and they do. They do great. Like I said, my son is 23 years old. He just went to Mexico by himself to meet up with Sea-Doo. It's an international company.
Yeah.
And he came back. He's like, he made so many friends. He just went and talked to everybody. He wasn't just sitting on his phone.
It's almost like
And
a lost skill at
It
this
is.
point.
For sure. And
100%.
that's why I've told him because they used to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
The boys have kind of spread out to do their own
Spread their
thing.
wings.
The daughter is doing something else, but she's kind of helping us.
And
Okay.
she's following suit.
But I always told him, if you can talk to somebody and be comfortable selling a little bit, not to I'm like, you can do anything. You can work for somebody. You can do your own business. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you're limitless at that point.
Now,
And then
it's
Chase
so
works for someone that he's helping him
grow.
and
He's using
expand.
what he learned from us to blow their business up. But it's such a lost art now because all of their friends play games all night.
I would say that's probably one of my biggest things to tell young people is learn how to talk to somebody.
Yes.
Go outside, open your eyes, look up once in a while.
Yes.
I was going to say, my brother and his friends are perfect examples of that. I mean,
And there's always the argument,
not as
some
bad.
people make millions of dollars gaming. Good. Are you?
Yes. And, there's people that are actors that make millions of dollars acting. But, how many of those people of the population is like 1%?
1%.
So you need to have some kind of skill set. And you got to be able to talk to people.
Yep.
Because this whole online, I talked to him on a headset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I can tell you anything you want to hear online. I can tell you anything you want to hear in a headset. But until you see me in person and can watch my behavior and see my actions, you really don't know me.
Yeah.
Don't be awkward.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
All right. Well,
I think
can
we
you
got
think
it.
of anything else? I think we
Tell
basically
everybody
how they
your
can find
website,
you.
how they can find you, what you can do for them. And
Absolutely. So
pitch.
we're pretty
your
easy
elevator
to find.
pitch. Go.
Ah, crap. Put me on the spot. We're pretty easy to find. All of my trucks are giant billboards. They've got our logo all over it, so I can't steal anything at this point. The number's plastered all over those too. You can always go to www.innovativeseamlessgutters.com, and there's a form you can fill out thanks to you guys that will come directly to me and let me know what it is that you're looking for, and then I can reach out to you that way, and we can get the process started. You can find us on Facebook. I don't really use Instagram that much just because Facebook seems to do a lot better with the business side of things. So those are the two best ways to go about that. And everything that we provide as a company is we do 5 and 6 inch seamless gutter installation. We also do gutter guards and we do offer gutter cleanings. So whether your home needs complete new gutter systems, or you're tired of cleaning out your gutters, or you just don't want to climb ladders to clean your gutters, we'll take care of all that. The gutter cleaning or gutter guards would be something that's very important for other homeowners, because if you don't maintain your gutters, your gutters are not going to provide adequate protection for your home. And then climbing ladders and trying to clean those out is actually highly dangerous, especially if you don't do it often, and you don't know what you're doing. And the gutter guards, I typically, try to sell those more often just because you can put them up there and then you don't have to worry about it. Whereas if you're hiring us to clean it, you still have the chance that leaves will get in your downspout. And just like with human beings, if you get plaque buildup in your heart, you have a heart attack. So if you get leaves and debris that go down your downspout, well, then now they're not going to work. Now the water overflows. And if your downspouts go underground and drain somewhere else, that's more expensive to repair that than it is to just clean out your gutters or put the gutter guards up and not worry about it. And then kind of like what you guys said with, marketing is, it's a very, very important tool that is often overlooked, and you don't realize how valuable it is until you need it or it's been replaced. So if you kind of consider, like, if you redid your room inside, you fixed all the drywall, and that would be the most expensive stuff. But once you put that trim on it, just elevates that look of that room.
Yeah.
So those new gutters will elevate that look of the exterior of your home. So anything gutter wise, we service it, we take care of it, and we take care of our customers most importantly. So we try to accommodate to people's needs. We're not interested in price gouging people. and always willing to work with people. We give discount for first responder and military, so we give
Awesome.
20% off all installation for that. So it's just kind of another way of us giving back. And then, the more business that we get, the more revenue that we get, the more that I can actually donate, which is something that we actually do. I've donated to the Newark charity, Newark Fire Charities. I've donated for our Fireman's Ball, and I've donated to the Granville Arts Boosters so that kids can go to Universal this month, actually,
Cool.
for one of the band things. So
Neat.
that's just kind of what we offer, kind of what we do. It's not a really good elevator speech. I'm not good at that stuff, but
that's the information I was digging for.
that is ultimately what we do. Is if it's gutters, we do it. I take very much pride in what we do, so we don't just half-ass something.
Yeah.
We don't just be like, you just paint that and it'll be fine. If you really need new gutters, I'm going to tell you need them. If they can be cleaned and resurrected by being cleaned, then we'll do that. So that's pretty much what we offer, and helping us, you're helping the community, because I'm a big believer in giving back.
Awesome.
So
Good.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
We're good. So
yeah, that was excellent.
So that was awesome. Nice to meet you. And
finally.
Good luck moving forward, and always ask us a question.
Oh, don't worry.
So,
don't you worry.
So it's coming. There's going to be a platform that's actually inside Justine that people will be able to.
The
like
community.
yourself,
I'm sure you've seen that part of it. There's
It's not great yet, but we're working on it. So we're going to have more courses inside where you can learn how to do it. I'm going to be redoing my Facebook ads course, my Google ads course. So all of that will be in there. You can find it whenever you're a customer, so it's not going to cost you anything more. So
I'm kind of a dinosaur, so I'm one of those like, hey, let's sit next to each other and show me how to do it. I'm gonna do it here. Although I have used the online training stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense to utilize.
I try to keep it simple because there is so much, but hey, we run into it all the time. People, one of our current clients, I won't say his name, but I told him 2 months ago, your Google Map listing disappeared.
Oh yeah.
He moved. I don't know what happened. I'm like, dude, you need, I've got a course. Go look at this.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. Like he's a contractor. I'm like, that's one of the first things people click on when they look for you.
Yeah. Where are you
and
at?
he's not even there. So I'm like, anyway, that's coming.
Well, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I mean, anytime that, I run into other entrepreneurs and I feel that this type of service is something that they could definitely benefit from, I'm always sending them your way.
Appreciate it.
And the great thing with with you guys and the product that you offer is it's so diverse. You can use as little or as much, based off of your needs and your budget. And you can full bore and let you guys take the wheel and run the show, or you can be like let you guys do a little bit and do more on your own. And just, most of the people I do end up meeting are, contractors that are just getting started. And, I tell them, I'm like, these kind of things are important because, I am a believer in the marketing. If nobody knows I exist, I will not meet my revenue goals. I will not meet my goals for anything. I won't have a business, and with, like we talked about earlier with Justine, like that helps keep me organized because the minute that I'm not organized, then my reputation is going to suffer because things are getting missed.
Tell people all the time, marketing, word of mouth is the best thing you can ever have, but it only goes so far. You need to get more. And marketing, the best time to market is when you don't need it, because you have the money to market and do extra things. And, when you slow down, that's when that picks up, the work that you did before.
And a website and a dashboard, a website and a system. Basically, any of it. It's not an expense, and that's the problem.
Investment.
It's an investment.
Absolutely.
People they just aren't taught that.
No, they'll go buy their coffee and their shoes and stuff that they don't need. And
we love talking to people like you because you're motivated. You want more. We have a big mix of people. Some people just want the website, and they just want people to call. And like that happens, but not as much as if you actually did more things.
Yeah.
But it's I'm looking at that, I got distracted. I told you I would.
You were completely distracted.
I need my. I forget what I was going to say.
Squirrel moment.
God, that's hilarious.
What was I talking about?
Blame it on being sick.
Yeah,
Past 14. He's not sick right now, but he had been.
I work with sick people. You can't scare me with
Well,
that
that's
word.
true.
Damn it!
Don't you hate that when that happens?
It was a good one too. Oh, it was like
Mhm.
we have people like you that are motivated, growth minded, and want more. And then we have other people that we do all this for. We've even run ads for it, and they don't answer their damn phone
Oh, no.
ever. And then wonder why people don't leave messages. I'm like, we have that tracking. We listen to your answering machine pick up 30 calls this month, and not one person leaves a voicemail.
I do wonder why people don't leave voicemails because I get so many spam calls.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like, is this another spam call? Or I get Angie's leads or Angie's list.
yeah.
List.
Oh my, they're so obnoxious. They
I can
call
run an
me
ad
all
for
the
a
time.
new client. First day, Angie's List will be the first call.
Yes.
They must have something that says, "Hey, there's a new guy spending money on ads. We're going to call him and see if
But
we can
then
sell him ads."
a lot of the clients or potential clients will just be like, well, all I'm doing, I'm only answering the phone to to all these people. Well,
All they
gonna
wanted was a
happen.
quote. Oh shit!
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Your
So
conversion, you have
yeah,
to get the
you have
quotes
to-
out there to have a conversion ratio in order to
we
predict.
tell them this is marketing. Now, sales is your part.
You have to be able to close it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not your closers.
No, that's your job.
Yep.
All right, we could probably talk forever. So
I'm sure we could.
Yeah,
cut
we could.
this. I
We
will
definitely
actually. Peace out. We're done.